It sounds like a conspiracy, but it's not. It's just business. And business, especially in the world of banking, thrives on what you don't know. That's how they win. That's how they stay profitable while millions of everyday people live paycheck to paycheck, wondering why saving money feels impossible. The truth? It's not you. It's the system. And there's one savings trick, simple, legal, and incredibly effective, that most banks would rather you never discover. Sarah Bennett didn't come from money. She worked 2 jobs, paid her bills on time, and did everything the right way. Still, she could never seem to save. Every month, whatever she managed to put aside somehow disappeared. Fees, unexpected expenses, small charges that added up fast. Her savings account barely grew. It just sat there, like a promise that never delivered. Until one night, frustrated, she started digging. Not into side hustles or budgeting apps, but into how banks actually work. That's when she found it. A little-known savings method buried under pages of financial jargon. It wasn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It wasn't tied to risky investments or crypto hype. It was simply a change in where and how she saved her money. And, more importantly, it exposed just how banks profit off the average saver's ignorance. She switched strategies the next day. And within a year, not only had her savings doubled, she was earning more in interest than the bank ever offered. That's when the calls started. Emails, too. Her bank suddenly wanted to discuss new options and review her financial goals. But she knew better now. She knew the game. And she knew the truth. The less you know, the more they profit. Most people never figure it out. They trust the nice-sounding ads, the friendly tellers, the polished apps. They don't realize that the traditional savings model isn't broken. It's just not designed for you to win. But if you know what to do, you can flip the script. Just like Sarah did. Sarah's discovery started with one question. Where does my money go when I deposit it into a savings account? Not metaphorically, but literally. The deeper she looked, the clearer it became. Banks don't just hold your money. They use it, they loan it out, invest it, flip it into profits, while giving you back a fraction of a percent in return. That 0.01% APY they offered? It was laughable compared to what they earned using her deposits. She realized that banks were in the business of using your money to make their money, and once she saw that clearly, she couldn't unsee it. She learned about something called a high-yield savings account, but not the kind offered by traditional big-name banks. These were offered by online banks and credit unions with lower overheads and fewer fees. No expensive buildings, no $1,000 ad campaigns, just better returns. The trick wasn't just opening a new account, it was about leveraging it. Sarah moved her savings into an online high-yield account offering 4.5% APY, hundreds of times higher than what her old bank paid. But she didn't stop there. She set up automated transfers, scheduled small deposits every time she got paid, and, most importantly, she disconnected her debit card from the new account to reduce temptation. Then came the second layer, cash management accounts. These weren't typical savings accounts at all. Offered by fintech platforms and brokerages, they allowed her to park cash in FDIC-insured accounts while earning even higher yields. Some even swept her deposits into multiple partner banks, maximizing insurance coverage and returns. It felt like she'd cracked a secret code. But here's the thing. None of this was illegal. None of it was hidden behind a paywall or locked away in financial textbooks. The information was out there, just not advertised. Why would banks spend money telling you how to pay them less and keep more? The average customer leaves thousands of dollars on the table simply because they never ask the right questions. Sarah had. And now, her savings were working for her, not just sitting still while someone else got rich. The shift didn't just change Sarah's balance sheet, it changed her mindset. Once she saw how banks profited from silence, she began spotting the traps everywhere. Maintenance fees, transfer limits, overdraft charges, all carefully crafted not to serve the customer, but to keep them quietly losing. It wasn't negligence. It was design, a business model built on people not knowing any better. And Sarah had lived it for years. She remembered opening her first account at 18. The bank teller smiled, handed her a free t-shirt, and walked her through the starter savings plan. It sounded official, trustworthy. What they didn't explain was that the interest she'd earn over an entire year wouldn't even buy her a meal. They didn't mention how inflation would outpace her savings. They didn't mention that every year she left her money there, it was actually losing value. Now, she couldn't help but talk about it. Friends, co-workers, even strangers online, Sarah began sharing what she'd learned. Most were skeptical at first. If it's that easy, why isn't everyone doing it? They'd ask. And that was the point. It's not about difficulty, it's about awareness. Once she showed them the math, eyes widened. Someone with just $5,000 in a high-yield account earning 4.5% could earn more in a year than someone with triple that amount sitting in a traditional savings account. Multiply that over years, and the gap becomes staggering. Banks noticed, too. After she moved her money, they flooded her inbox with new, limited-time offers. Higher rates, barely. New account bonuses, temporary. The same tools she'd trusted for years were now scrambling to keep her attention. But it was too late. She wasn't playing the old game anymore. She had taken control. What shocked her most was how little resistance there was. No penalties for moving her money. No hidden locks. Just years of conditioning that made it feel like leaving was hard. It wasn't. All it took was clicking transfer. And with that, Sarah stopped being just another customer. She became a strategist. Someone who didn't just save, but saved smart. And every dollar she earned in interest was proof that knowledge wasn't just power. It was profit. By the time a full year had passed, Sarah's savings had grown more than they had in the last 5 years combined. But it wasn't just the numbers. It was the freedom. The confidence of knowing exactly where her money was, what it was doing, and how to make it grow without falling for the same traps millions still walked into daily. She didn't have a finance degree. She didn't come from wealth. What she had was curiosity, and a refusal to stay broke in a system that quietly profited from her confusion. What started as frustration turned into empowerment. And soon, Sarah wasn't just managing her own money, she was helping others do the same. Friends who used to laugh at her weird obsession with banking were now forwarding her screenshots of their new high-yield accounts. Co-workers who once said saving was hopeless now had emergency funds. And strangers who found her blog thanked her for finally explaining it in a way that made sense. The real trick banks don't want you to know isn't buried in legal fine print or financial jargon. It's this. You don't need them as much as they need you. You have choices. You have leverage. And, most importantly, you have the power to walk away. Banks make billions betting that you'll never question them, that you'll stay where it's comfortable, that you'll assume 0.01% interest is the best you can get. But once you break that illusion, there's no going back. You realize how many better tools exist, how many smarter paths are out there, and you stop playing the passive saver and become the informed architect of your own future. Sarah never returned to her old bank, not because they wouldn't have her, but because she no longer needed what they were offering. She had outgrown the game, and with every smart move, every dollar working harder than before, she proved something simple but powerful. The system isn't designed to help you win, but once you know how it works, you don't need it to.